Well, this kind of sounds a bit like an infomercial, but it ain't. Own a house without ever buying it, especially when you're talking about one of the priciest real estate markets in the nation. Welcome to something called adverse possession. It is a legal concept with very deep roots in California, but one that you should know isn't for everyone. It has certainly worked for my next guest so far. Anyway, Stephen DeCaprio moved into this abandoned century-old duplex in Oakland 13 years ago, and literally, he has made it his own. It all comes down to paying taxes, because when he went in there, he started paying the taxes, and he did so for years. Stephen joins us live from San Francisco. I'm also joined again by our legal analyst and attorney, Lisa Bloom. Stephen, I want to begin with you, first of all. This is from the files of what? Are you kidding me? You were homeless, you trespassed, moved into that house, and then just started paying taxes, and after a certain number of years, that officially, legally made that place yours? Do I have it right?
Ashleigh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. And that is correct. In California, adverse possession takes 5 years of possession and paying the taxes, and that's what I've done. So, but I could give you more of the background on that if you'd like.
Well, I suppose the background is this. A, did you know that? Was this a strategy? And if that part's correct, maybe it's legally okay, but isn't it kind of morally yucky?
Well, I guess well, first of all, I'll just let you know how this all began. Back in 1999, my band, Lesser of Two, was a punk hardcore band. We toured all over Europe, and in Europe, there's squats all over Europe. They have libraries, they have social centers, they have all kinds of activities, and it was really inspiring for me. And then I came back to the US, and I lost my job, lost my house, and I started squatting houses. That was based on what I'd seen in Europe. And I've been doing this for about 13 years. I've been involved in a dozen or more squats in the Bay Area. And we've established a nonprofit, Land Action, to take the strategies and tactics to help social justice organizers establish their own squats that have projects or housing. And this is something that's been going on for, historically for a long time. If you have abandoned properties and no one's claiming them, no one's using them, this is a way for people in a society to take back those properties and put them to beneficial use, and that's what we're doing here.
Okay, so beneficial use. I just got to interrupt you there, Stephen, only because I hear what you're saying, and I see that you are putting a positive spin on it, saying that this is something that's beneficial to the community, but I can't help going back to the idea that the owner of record on this house is the estate of someone named Henry Curry, who died in the early 80s, and I can't help coming back to that this is kind of just taking what isn't yours. How am I wrong?
Well, I think that in what you just said, this is a person, this property had sat abandoned even before that individual purchased it, and it had been abandoned for as long as 40 years by some accounts in the neighborhood. And so an individual purchased it, and that person died, and no one came forward and claimed the property. So something has to happen, and if there's no one to take responsibility for the property, then someone needs to step forward, and no one did. And so it's a particular type of situation that this is designed for. It's not just any vacant property. It's designed for properties that have been in a state of abandonment that's really, there's no other solution.
I want to bring Lisa Bloom into this because she is not only really smart and really funny, but she's also a Californian, so she knows a thing or two about California law. Is there a benefit to this adverse possession? I like this guy. I think he makes a good point. He knows his law, but I can't help thinking that he's just taken something that doesn't belong to him.
Let me explain. This is actually a well-settled legal principle going back hundreds of years. Adverse possession. Real estate is different. We want homeowners to maintain their properties and pay the taxes. And if somebody lives openly and notoriously, those are the legal words, on a property, as Stephen did, for 5 years in California, and the homeowner doesn't step forward to say, hey, wait a minute, somebody's on my property, we know they've really abandoned that property. And we want people to maintain properties and pay taxes on them. And that's the concept behind adverse adverse possession. And Stephen, I got to tell you, you had me with the solar panels. Once I see that you installed those solar panels on the roof, you got my vote, friend.
All right, you too. Well, listen, Stephen, it's interesting. I think the story's fascinating. I like you and don't like you all at the same time, but I think you make a very good point.
I'm going to bring you around, Ashleigh.
And I do want you to keep
Well,
up
Ashleigh,
with us
I'm a better neighbor than an abandoned property, so.
That's right.
I'm a better neighbor than having an abandoned property, so.
It'll be interesting to see what comes out, because it's still not completely settled. I know you can't sell the home at this point or mortgage it, but yeah, interesting story nonetheless. Stephen DeCaprio, thank you. Lisa Bloom, both of you, thank you very much. Stay with me, everybody, as we all